Welcome to RakutenTechConf2016, and we'll start the session. The futures of intelligent resource collaboration, given by Mr. Vincent. So please welcome Mr. Vincent.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me in the back? Is that okay? Okay, thank you. I'm Vincent Gibas. I am Managing Director of Asia for CafeX Communications, which is a company that provides digital video and collaboration solutions. Now, I haven't been with CafeX very long, and in fact, I just started this month. And so you may not be surprised when a couple weeks ago in my email, I got a message and I opened it up and it said, "Hey Vince, welcome to CafeX. I suppose you've heard that you'll be speaking at the Rakuten Technology Conference on October 22. And I quickly shot back an email, "Hey, it's great to be here, thank you. Are we talking about this year?" So with that said, kind of launch in, but I'm very excited because as someone who's been part of the IT community here in Japan for more than 25 years, and actually had the wonderful opportunity, being as old as I am, to be involved in many of the very first internet companies that started here back in the early 1990s. When I saw today's conference theme of the next adventure for humankind, it really, the chance to look around and see presentations about some of the amazing new technology, deep learning, artificial intelligence, machine vision or computer vision, virtual reality, and it really brought back so many memories of 20 years ago when we were building the internet at the beginning, and a lot of late nights and working, and a lot of beers afterward, and talking about what is the history, what is the future, and where we're going to be in 20 years. We made a lot of very bold predictions, like 10 years from now, all communication will flow over the internet, and as mobile phones started to become available, that in fact all communications would run over the internet and have ubiquitous access to information and each other. And in those days, most of you are probably too young to remember those days where human communication really meant one of two things, which was either sitting in the room together and talking, or sitting in the room which had a phone and talking to someone over the telephone. There was no mobile communications, and there was no internet communication. There was no computer communication to speak of. And in fact, just letting someone know that you wanted to communicate with them. I don't know how many of you ever had a beeper, or in Japan they say pokebell, right? So we actually use radio as an out-of-band signal to let someone know that we needed to communicate them by telephone and they could call us back. So thinking back of sort of where we came from, and in those days what we expected to happen, a lot of those things did come true. And some of them came true more quickly, and some of them came true more slowly or haven't made it. But communication has moved to the internet. We do have access to information from devices that are sitting in our pockets, and we have the ability to communicate with each other at any time. There were a couple of things I think we completely missed on. And one of those things was, we've got collaboration and we've got social media, we've got social groupings that we expected to see, but maybe we thought there would be some social benefits that we didn't see. The other thing is, we knew that as people connected together, the value of what we were building would continue to rise. But I think we actually underestimated the pace that innovation would continue to accelerate. And looking back on that, if you look at how quickly we are able to communicate, how quickly that turns into new innovation, I'm not sure that we really expected that it would accelerate this quickly. And thinking back on why that might be, it's maybe we overlooked the value and the power of human collaboration. So today, CafeX is a collaboration company. I'm going to talk a little bit about the power of collaboration and where we see it going. So how many people in this room are technical engineers or software developers? Just so I can get an idea of roughly who I'm talking to. So okay, so that's good. So to those people, I have one apology. Being in CAFEX for such a short time, most of the slides, and I put some videos in here to kind of underscore what I'm talking about. A lot of that has a very salesy feel, marketing feel, but I want to use that and talk to it about where we think the technology is going to take us. The second thing is, if you're used to dealing with technology, you may not really see wider perspective of why collaboration is a problem. Software developers tend to have the best collaboration tools, and if they don't, they just build them. And so it sometimes seems surprising when I talk to people and they say there is no problem collaborating, it's very easy. But from a wider perspective, a lot of these slides are focused on businesses, but ourselves as consumers of services from businesses or other institutions, there's a lot of places where collaboration has not caught up and leaves us with some frustration. So I'm going to launch one of my many videos. I'm sorry I've moved this from YouTube, so there's a two-step process here. It's just going to take me a second to launch that. This is a very short video about some of the statistics that we're looking at today in the marketplace. So, it's a video, a lot of statistics about what's going on in the marketplace from a certain perspective. One of the interesting statistics was, was the number of, the amount of time it took different applications to hit 100 million users. So I think it was 75 years for phone, and 1/10 of that 7 years for web, and 4 years for Facebook, and 2 years for Instagram. And they didn't give the statistic, but I believe Pokemon Go is about 3 weeks. So, the point is the connectedness is giving us the ability to interact with these new technologies and new possibilities. The video focuses on disruption. And again, if you're coming from a software background or internet background, this is not disruption. This is the normal evolution of how services will go as we increase our ability to create and deliver them. So from our perspective, something like Uber, which can come seemingly out of nowhere and provide instant, web-based or app-based access to a car to come pick you up and take you to your destination, it seems intuitive. That's what this device is for. Without thinking about, well, that's overturning decades-old sort of taxi service. So for us, that's not disruption. That's normal. We thrive with that. We create that. But for most people and most businesses, and when I say business, I'm referring to all sorts of institutions, government, education, anyone that as an organization has information or a service and is providing that to some sort of a customer. For those companies, this is disruptive. They need to somehow implement this technology inside of their existing interactions, their existing workflows, their existing customer base. And it's not easy because they're not starting from zero. So another couple of interesting statistics. Over 90% of users would replace their current customer channels with mobile app. And endpoints are changing, so software-based desktop video conferencing is going to double next year. So what is this telling us? This is telling us that as all of you who have started with the mobile app as your main interface to whatever service we might be talking about, it's giving you self-service, it's giving you the power to access, find it when you need it, have control of that interaction. And at the same time, the technology is now becoming available to allow you to have interaction with that person by video and by audio. So what's interesting about this is true of many technologies which people foresee for long periods of time. There's certain things that need to happen before those technologies hit the marketplace, and it's usually one is the market requirement, and two is the technical availability. And what this is telling us is the market is ready for video and instant human interaction. I should say they're ready to move to app or web as their primary interface with their service provider. And at the same time, the technology is there for the service provider to assist that customer, even though because they can do it through software and not through traditional hardware solutions. Okay. And so what's happening is, in the past, if you needed to do anything of consequence, whether it might be banking, maybe something at the government office, you would go somewhere. You would take time, drive or take a train, go to, let's say, meet your banker. You would have a discussion. They would tell you what you need to do. He would provide you with some paper which you would probably sign and give back to him. So it was a very time-consuming process, but the intelligence and the advice that was needed to complete it was included in the process. And what's happening is, because the market is moving to a web-based or app-based interaction, 4 out of 5 digital customers need support in their journey. So through self-service, they're now able to interact with their service provider without any human interaction on the other side. So a greater percentage of them are now needing help somewhere in that interaction. On the other hand, 71% of visitors are expecting to get help when they need it within 5 minutes, and half of those users are going to abandon. If they don't get help within the time that they expect is reasonable, they're just going to give up and either quit or go somewhere else. And 31% actually expect the help to be immediate. So this is showing that as the technology and the interface is changing, people's expectation is also changing. And the frequency that they're having this sort of need is increasing. And so when I joined CafeX and I asked them, okay, so what's the answer? And people started talking about this thing called the Omni-Channel Experience. So has anyone in this room heard of anything called Omni-Channel? No, okay. So what is Omni-Channel? What we know is I'm probably not the right person to ask because several colleagues and Wikipedia couldn't explain it to my satisfaction. But essentially what it seems to be is an intersection of two things. The ability to have an interaction with your colleague or service provider from any one of a number of different venues, right? So maybe access from your computer or through the phone in your office or at home, on your cell phone, maybe even built into the dashboard of your car if you need some sort of roadside assistance or through the customer support center. So the ability to have all of these different venues, and secondly, and perhaps more importantly, the ability to escalate or transfer that interaction between them. So omni-channel means, in the past, as companies have developed these self-service models, allowing all of us to have higher degree of flexibility and freedom, the flip side is that when we need some sort of support, our option is to get on the phone and call them separately and authenticate, phone tree, talk to a representative, go to a different expert, authenticate, and over and over. Omni-channel, the promise of omni-channel is that we will have the ability to start an interaction in one media, whether that's an app on your phone or maybe it's a web page, and as we need support, be escalated to the interaction, to the person that can help us, or the system that can help us. If it's 5 years from now, it may be AI, but the ability to seamlessly transfer among these channels from these venues without cutting off and starting over, which is the case today. So let's talk about an example. So how many people in this room have been on a web page or gone through some sort of electronic service where you needed to stop what you're doing and make a phone call to get support for something through that service? So an example I have is banking. I do some banking in the US. As good as the services are getting with allowing me to do things online, I often have to talk to a person. And what that means is making a phone call. So Japan is often much better, but I wonder if many people have that experience, say, last 6 months. Not really, a couple. So you've done a good job of moving to the digital channels, but in many places and many services such as government or education where there is no digital interface available, it is necessary to get on the phone and call in. And so this particular example was from a specific banking customer. They had this problem where increasingly they were providing service through self-service portal, which they'd invested a lot of money in. And their customers, and especially their higher value customers, were finding that when they needed help, they needed to call in. They would go through the phone tree, be authenticated, reach the first agent, and then often have to be dumped back into a second queue to talk to the expert and authenticate each time. And each time, of course, is added stress. I think the most stressful thing is not knowing how long you're going to have to wait. And eventually, satisfaction is going down and people are giving up. So what's the technology that's used to address that? That's what we're talking about with Omni-Channel. So simply put, it's click for care from the banking application, having the button more and more prevalent. Press the button and have instant connection to the support agent, whether that's by chat or by video or by audio only. The point of this is not simply that we can do video communication or direct communication with the agent. The point is that each time we transfer that interaction, we're transferring the context as well. So the user doesn't have to keep starting over. It's a context-based interaction from the user's point of view, which starts at the web page and ends at a conversation with a person who's talking to them from inside that initial interface. Okay? So it removes the largest pain points for the customers and the team members as well, who are dealing with frustrated customers, and provides a seamless experience. So that's what we're talking about with Omni-Channel. And this slide is actually, it's the simplest slide in the deck, but this is the point. So when we talk about, why are we doing this? Why do we talk about collaboration as opposed to just interaction or communication? The point is by providing a user with an experience that is seamless from front to end, their satisfaction goes up, their stress goes down, and at the end of the day, they're happier. And that's what we're really looking for in our application of technology to customer problems. Okay. What has been the obstacle in the past? You would think everyone would do this. Well, for companies that are venture companies just starting from zero, it's very easy to integrate some of this technology from the beginning. But for most of the institutions that we deal with every day, whether that be bank or Kyakusho, whoever it might be, they have a legacy or traditional set of infrastructure and processes that make it very difficult for them to integrate this kind of technology into their interface. So going sort of from down up, you know, for IT cost, expensive equipment that they need to buy, or video conferencing, it's very difficult. And a few years ago, Google announced a technology called WebRTC, which is to provide real-time communication between browsers based on the ability to access the media device of each browser and communicate directly between browsers. This was seen and has been seen as a real potential quiver in the arrow for providing this kind of seamless experience, because it allows people to have access to this technology from the browser with no new software, no plugins, just natively from their computer. And we're going to watch a couple of examples about this kind of technology, and you'll see the promise that this was to fulfill. But with WebRTC, it's still not completely supported by all browsers, and it still often requires integration with dedicated hardware. So CafeX, our mission is to make together happen. Bring the concept and the experience of together into our customer systems and finally to their end users to increase their happiness. And how are we going to do that? So, key problem with providing collaboration to the users through this kind of a system is that the communication system has often been separate or siloed from the actual tools that we're using to provide the service to the customer. So each business will have its own, database, its own business tools, CRM, for instance, to manage their interaction with the customer. But typically, we've used external collaboration or voice, video channels to manage the communication with the user. The CafeX vision is that we can build what we call collaboration core, or a platform that not only the users can connect to, but the applications themselves. We can actually embed this collaboration platform inside of your application and allow you to access it directly. And so this is what allows you to take a context from a single user interaction and transfer that to a different communication channel or software. So collaboration becomes contextual. The collaboration system is built into the business, and it works with existing tools or systems that you're already using. So by bringing the collaboration into the core of the business and the service, we, again, meet our goal of reducing stress and reducing friction for the customer and bringing them a much more satisfactory experience. Okay. So technically, how does this look? What we have is a set of systems and a platform that allows all of the systems to provide their context to the communication and then reach out to each of the parties or each of the participants to give them the ability to communicate and collaborate with each other. So from the consumer's point of view, they're just dealing with the app in their phone or a web page and bringing in the ability to video, voice, or chat with a human being inside of that app. And additionally, it's not just voice and video. It's the ability to co-browse for the agent to see the user application, to see their screen, help them maybe input parts of a web page that aren't clear, and allow them actually to sign, for instance, an agreement and carry on a business transaction. On the agent side, the agent not only has the ability to see the customer screen and talk with them in that sort of multi-channel environment, but also they have the ability to conference in experts or supervisors. If there's any issue, they can escalate and transfer that interaction to a third party seamlessly and simply. Okay. So what I'd like to do is, there's a couple of videos that really explain what we're talking about, and I'd like to use those as an example to make it a little bit more clear. This one, again, I apologize, it's a little bit salesy, but for one example is, for instance, an insurance provider. That's okay, thank you.
A short time after Mike and his wife had their first baby, they knew they had to reach out to an agent to review and change their family insurance policy with Francisco Insurance. After accepting an agent invite for a virtual meeting to review their needs, they clicked to connect with their agent via Live Assist on their iPad for the scheduled appointment. The agent is able to video conference and easily show the young couple their life insurance plan options. Mike and Nancy complete a quick life insurance application virtually with an e-signature. The stage is set for the agent to complete the underwriting process and schedule some lab work. That night at dinner, Mike and Nancy discussed getting quotes from other insurance agencies before doing the lab work because they thought the rates seemed a little high. Unfortunately, the next day on his way to work, Mike is involved in an auto accident and his insurance needs take on a drastically different look. Neither party is injured, but there is damage to both vehicles. Mike quickly opens up his Francisco Insurance mobile app, taps Live Assist to connect with an agent, and begins a video chat. Mike is able to instantly share video and photographs of the crash site with his agent in real time. The agent can also see Mike's geographical location and account information and quickly dispatches roadside assistance, schedules a body shop, and secures a car rental for Mike, all from the Live Assist desktop. Mike, who is shaken up but otherwise okay, is amazed by the all-in-one claims process. Before Mike can ever leave the accident scene, virtually everything is taken care of. The end result is a streamlined, accurate process and a great customer experience when the customer needs it most. When Mike gets home and shares with Nancy his amazing experience with Francisco Insurance, they both agree not to look at other companies for their life insurance needs. For more information on Cafe X Live Assist, contact Cafe X Communications today.
So a little bit marketing oriented, and I mean there are a few things that we can take away. One is that when we do have seamless video integration, we may need to spend more money on shavers. But the point is the ability to bring in context and bring in expert help and bring in business process into our application and into our support interaction is really what's going to drive the user's efficiency, the user's satisfaction, the user's happiness. So at Cafe X, our goal is to provide you and your application, if you're a developer, or as a user, by providing this sort of technology to bring you that satisfaction of truly collaborative, context-rich interaction with the service provider. Okay, and there's many use cases. So, for instance, telemedicine. You know, going to the doctor is one of the least pleasant things that we all have to do. And a lot of times, if you're spending an hour for the trip, sitting in a waiting room, going over lab results for 10 minutes with the doctor, these are the kind of things that can be moved seamlessly into an online app. One that I'd like to show you, because I think it gives you an interesting picture of some of the things that are possible. This is actually an application which provides, it provides attorneys in the US the ability to interact with their clients who may be actually at the police station. This particular video is that.
JurisLink is a video conferencing company that allows defense attorneys to meet with their clients who are incarcerated. It allows them not to have to travel. So JurisLink kind of takes the traditional jail and makes it non-traditional because we can now visit that jail in a matter of a 30-minute meeting.
JurisLink is an unbelievable company. It's taken the complexity of visitation, having attorneys meet with their clients, and simplified it into a click of a button.
WebRTC is the technology that we're utilizing for JurisLink and through CafeX. WebRTC is a great base product. It requires no downloads for attorneys which are typically not technologically savvy.
With CafeX, with their native SDK, you're able to implement WebRTC directly into existing solutions without having to ship another product. So it just works across all devices.
CafeX is phenomenal. They do the nuts and bolts of our video conferencing system. They provide all of the video conferencing technology, the updates, and just the back end of what occurs. The backbone of JurisLink is CafeX.
So a couple of interesting points here. The use of a kiosk as the front end interface for the customer. So you can imagine using this in digital signage, or if you walk around Tokyo, you'll see many different kinds of kiosks. And specifically on the back side, the attorneys, because they don't need to have any special technical skill, there's no application to install, they just simply access the system from a web browser, which uses the WebRTC-based technology to connect to the client and give them real-time access. So this is, again, a great case study for showing how much time is saved and efficiency. And what's a little bit different is, in this case, it's actually the service provider that's putting that time in. So you can see it saved $60,000 per month of travel and expenses per attorney. And so maybe that says more about attorney costs than time savings. But it's a very good example of how you can take this technology and put it into almost any application. So this is the same picture as before, but the point being that you can use the CafeX collaboration core to embed this collaboration into your application and take advantage of existing video, existing voice and call center connectivity, and put the agent inside of your app in some respects. So it's not the app being used by the agent, it's the agent that's coming inside of the app and supporting the user. So, you know, first step towards the matrix, I don't know, but it's a little bit different way of thinking about it. And so for the developers, this is the only slide that you probably are interested in, but it's very simple. CafeX has the SDK, which you can access with just, you know, 1 or 2 lines of code. That allows you to put this technology into your application and integrate it to take advantage of true collaboration across whatever service it is that you're providing. Okay. And finally, I want to talk just a minute about collaboration in the enterprise. This should be the most obvious use case, and it should be actually the one that you would expect that would be the easiest to actually implement. Enterprise has more control. Enterprise has the greatest to gain by using this video conferencing and document sharing technology. But the reality is that companies aren't there yet. And there's a lot of reasons. Most of those reasons have to do with existing systems, the cost of the hardware and software systems that they currently own, and the difficulty in integrating this kind of a system. So WebRTC, the promise is that eventually that will allow browser-only connectivity between users, but for companies that already have some established web conference system internally, they have difficulty connecting that. Not all browsers are supported, and there's not high interoperability. So what we're seeing is that even in enterprise, video conferencing and web collaboration are not widely utilized. So our vision is truly seamless, one-touch collaboration over video and sharing documents and context in the enterprise using only the browser with no app to install, no plugin to install, and that it's intuitive and works well with the current telepresence systems. So this is the CafeX vision for solving this problem in enterprise, and my last video is going to be about a new product which we're just announcing called Chime.
The pace of business continues to accelerate. Companies are moving quickly to embrace flexible paradigms that combine speed with innovation. As a result, new solutions are needed to help teams work together better to achieve results faster. That's why we created a new kind of collaboration solution that breaks down the barriers inherent in today's conferencing systems. Introducing Chime by CafeX. Chime is a beautifully intuitive application that makes collaboration available to everyone in the enterprise. Anyone can simply click to start collaborating without having to download special software. And Chime works across every browser to reach every user with 100% coverage, fulfilling a promise still unanswered by WebRTC. Once you're in Chime, you can click on an existing meeting or create a new one. The minute you enter the meeting, you'll see just how easy to use and clean the Chime interface is. Look down the left side of the window, and you'll see all of the many options you have at your fingertips, including voice, video and chat, document and presentation sharing, and more. Chime also offers big cost savings. Networks don't have to reserve a ton of bandwidth just for a simple video call, as WAN utilization is reduced by up to 75%. MCU port usage is also reduced by 50 to 80%. And there's investment protection for existing collaboration systems, as Chime is compatible with Cisco Telepresence, Microsoft Skype for Business, Slack, and other popular solutions. Chime is also architecturally simple and scales easily for enterprise IT. There's no app to install, no updates needed for the desktop, nothing in the DMZ, and no firewall changes. Suddenly, it's not so hard to imagine a world where enterprise collaboration is available to all without being complicated or expensive. CafeX and Chime, we're making together happen.
So that's pretty much it. That's CafeX vision for seamless and ubiquitous collaboration tool in the enterprise. Chime it's really the result of our vision providing users with a browser-only solution that allows them to use their existing resources and provide true collaboration, including context, among themselves and to their customers. So that's pretty much all I have today. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. As we sort of look forward to the future and how this kind of technology is going to come into our lives and make our digital interactions so much more pleasant. I hope that I'm around 20 years in the future to look back and say, while the internet was about connectivity and functionality, the next 20 years was about togetherness. So that's it. Thank you very much. I don't know if there's any questions. No? Okay, thank you very much.